Today we're going to be working on this 2003 Polaris Sportsman 600. This is a beautiful example of one because this thing is in really nice shape. I believe those are original tires on this thing. They're the Goodyear rawhide that came on these. And I mean, this thing is just really overall in good shape. I think that is an aftermarket seat cover, definitely is. But everything else seems to be stock, other than this plywood box somebody bolted to the rack. All I know about this wheeler is the owner said the starter is making some very bad noises. It takes a very long time to warm up and the winch no longer works. So we're going to go through and see what's going on with everything. Now when he went ahead and dropped this machine off, it was in the back of his truck. He hit the starter, it fired right up. He says sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And right now, it wouldn't start when I was outside. But let's check. I pulled it in here. Very easy to roll. So it's actually got 2,200 miles on it. And 700 hours. So this thing's got a good amount of hours. This is a great example of what your machine can look like if you actually take care of it, because a 700-hour machine that I usually find does not look like this. This thing has extremely low miles for the amount of hours on it, and the reason why is because he uses this for plowing, but he obviously still takes care of the machine. If we look under here, you can see he's got the plow mount right there. Now, depending on how you ride them, but a trail ridden machine with 700 hours would probably be well over 10,000 miles for sure. And this thing's only got, 2,000. First thing I want to check before I even try to fire it up, I know he had it running, but we're going to check the oil. So the oil dipstick on these is just like an automotive dipstick right here. You can see it's much shorter than one you'd usually find in your car truck. But it's got the same type of dipstick. This just sits down there. There's no screwing in. And then you close this and it expands the rubber in here. So it's a pretty easy setup, actually. So we wiped all the oil off. We're going to reinsert it all the way and then pull it out. And it looks like it's a little over full, but it hasn't been running in a few days at least. So whenever it's over full like that, we want to double check and make sure it doesn't smell like gas. It really doesn't. It smells like oil. So now this hasn't been running in a couple days. So usually you start them up, you let them idle, you shut them down, and then you recheck the oil. That way the oil gets pumped up to everything. So I'm not too concerned with that being over full right now. So I think we're safe to try to start it, but like I said, I did try to start it out there, and it just did that. You shut it off, turn it back on, it comes back on. So we're going to check fuses, connections, all that good stuff. We'll pop the seat off and see what's going on. So this is one of those jobs where the owner, I wasn't actually planning on taking this machine, but the owner is going to sell it. I had worked on this a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago now, and the owner didn't know I wasn't taking any more customers, so I did take this on. I said if it's, it sounds like something that we can fix quick, I figured I'd take it on for him and make him happy. So it did start up when he brought it over. See, it resets right there, and I hit it, and it just clicks. First thing I want to check is if the battery's still good. 385 cranking amps on that old girl. Red to red, black to black, and we have 12.6 volts, so that's showing good. 12.6, 12.7. Like I said, this wheeler hasn't been started in a few days. Might have been a week now. I don't know. He dropped it off a little while ago. I told him I'd get to it. So right now we're just going to test the battery, because just because we have good voltage doesn't mean the battery's good. It's a good indication for sure. So you can see this battery is a 385 cranking amp. Cold cranking amps. So we're going to go to our rating capacity. We're going to bump this up because I got it down to 2 something. For a smaller battery. So 385, we'll click that, it's testing. It says good battery passed, 12.63 volts, but this does more than test the voltage, so we are good. So we're going to check our connections. Our solenoid is down on this side, we'll check that out. Our grounds, of course. You know what? He's got a loose battery right here. The negative terminal I can move by hand. See that? Could be some of our issue. Just going to hold pressure on this just to check real quick, see if she fires up. Fired right up. Okay. Well, we'll tighten this terminal up here. And I doubt that's all that's wrong with this, but you never know. Wouldn't that be something? Check the positive. Not super tight, but the positive was not loose. So, let's fire it up again, see? Sounded good. I didn't hear that noise. He said it wasn't every time. It sounds pretty good, but one thing at a time. Let's go ahead and try the winch next. We get nothing off of that. So the reason I want to work on the winch first before I start tearing that apart and adjusting the carburetor is we may have a bad connection somewhere else. This was loose. Do we have another ground that's loose somewhere causing the winch not to work? I don't know. Sometimes bad ground can cause other issues. So we want to get that straightened out first. Then we'll dig into that starter if we have to. We probably will. But one thing, these worn winches, you can put them in free spool. I don't want to pull it out too far in case we don't get it working, but we'll go down here. Now, our connections are good there, tight. What about the back one? This one's hard to see. I can feel it's tight in the back, so that shouldn't be our issue. It doesn't look rusted or anything, surprisingly. We'll pop this panel off here. I don't care for these big winch switches. Some of these older machines will have these, or they'll have like a worn style, the worn winches. They had the twist style controller, and I didn't care for them. So as you can see, they got 4 big heavy wires. Your new winch controllers just have little tiny thin wires to them because they go back to a solenoid. Now, I don't know if this goes to a solenoid or is that our starter solenoid. The blue and yellow usually go to your winch, which we can see they do. So our black and red are the power wires going into this controller, and then when you push it, it sends 12 volts to the yellow and the blue. So these switches can be hooked up straight to the battery, so they have power all the time. And I'm not sure if that's how this is hooked up or not. If we come back here, these 2 wires right here obviously run up, and they run to this winch controller. So if we go back here, our ground wire goes right to the battery. This positive, though, it appears to go back here. Our positive that goes to the controller is right here, and it comes to this solenoid. So the reason to put a solenoid on something like this is when you shut the key off, it shuts the power off to the winch. So we might have a bad solenoid right here. Pull off this, and we'll pull off our ground. Looks a little iffy. So if we take our multimeter, put it on 12 volts or DC, if we follow the red wire that comes out of the battery back to here, it goes right here. So we're going to make sure we ground the black wire to the frame good, and we're going to check for 12 volts right here. We should have 12 volts because that battery had 12 volts unless you have a broken wire. As you can see, we do. So we're good here. Obviously this solenoid is not transferring 12 volts to this side. Well, it could be. We could still have a bad controller. Now when I turn the ignition on, it should put 12 volts into the solenoid to activate the solenoid to send this 12 volts to this wire, which goes to the controller. So I turned the ignition on. I didn't hear any solenoid click. Usually you'd hear these click. So we're going to check right here for 12 volts. We don't have it. So that's probably our issue right there. Let's go ahead and pop this wire off. I'm actually going to hook 12 volts right to this. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a little wire here. Then I'll wrap it around. I guess we can put the nut on. This will also tell me if we have a bad solenoid or a bad ground. So we're going to take this, and I'm going to actually put this wire straight on the positive side of the battery. You hear that? That's that solenoid clicking in. So we should have 12 volts over here now. So I'm going to hook this straight to the battery. We'll just loosen this side up. Connect this wire to give us 12 volts to the solenoid. You can hear it clicking. Just because we're clicking doesn't mean it's working, but it's a good indication. I'm going to throw this negative right here on that bolt again. And we'll check for 12 volts on this side. And we have it. I think my ground is not the best. Oop. We have 12 volts going to that controller now. Let's try it. Now obviously our controller could still be bad, our winch could be bad, but it's a slim chance. We're working. Good, but we're not fixed yet. Found out what's going on with this. Tighten that back down. So we found out what the problem is. We haven't found out what's causing the problem. So we need to trace that 12 volts back up. It probably goes to the ignition switch. It's probably under here, I'm guessing, which means we're going to have to pull this box off and the rack. Right here is that red wire, and it goes under here, and after the gas tank, I kind of lose track of it. Yeah, I can't see it anywhere. This is another problem I find when people add accessories, and when I go to take them off, especially homemade stuff like this, it always adds time to the repair job, because if this wasn't here, I'd be able to pull out the 4 bolts in the rack and take it off. Now I gotta, it looks like it's screwed down, I think. These square drive screws. So we'll pull those and see if it comes off of there. It's like a square drive, number 2, hopefully. I gotta say, it is some nice out today. Let's see here. Maybe it's just some screws. If it is, that ain't bad. 3 screws. I don't know if that one broke or what. Or didn't have one in there. Okay, we got rubber straps. We'll remember where those went. You just had them on each side. Probably had these in there for vibration from the plywood to the plastic. Now we can come in here with a T27 and pull these rack bolts off. There's only 4 holding it. Now you might be thinking to yourself, you don't have to pull this rack off to be able to remove this piece. I've done it plenty of times. Well, I tell you, I have too, and you always fight with it. There's only 4 bolts holding that rack. You might as well just pull them off. It's very easy to do, and then it gives you so much more room in here. You still slide her up and over, and then we can pull that out. Now we're looking for that wire. I could be wrong. I'm just kind of guessing that it went up. I figured in the near the ignition switch or something if there's an accessory plug here, but I don't actually see an accessory plug. Oh, you know what? Should have looked up there. It looks like it goes right into the headlight pod. It probably goes right into that ignition switch. Now I'm surprised they actually did that, because now they must have actually tapped into the ignition switch if that's the case, which I'm surprised they did that. You know what I just saw? I just noticed this switch. Could that actually be for the winch? I did not notice that switch there before. They probably do have it tapped into that. So if that's the case, either the owner forgot about that, or that switch has gone bad. He didn't mention anything about the switch though. But pop that off here. So our ignition switch does have some tape on it. That red wire does run right into the switch right there. So let's check to see if we have power now. Unplug that. I'm fine with leaving this here as long as it's not touching anything. We'll just cover that up like that. Hook my negative side right into the battery. Take my positive. We'll hit the switch. We got nothing. What about the other side? Where are they stealing that from? So we got no juice going to this, wherever they stole the power from there. Actually, let me try the ignition here. Okay, we do have juice. Is it sending it to there? It is. So we probably have juice back there now. Let me test this. We have juice. Well now, let me shut that off. So this appeared to be, so it looks like I pulled all this stuff off for nothing. Bad diagnosis? Well, maybe. I mean, we were chasing our wires. When they went in here, I couldn't see where they went. I should have looked up under the steering column here because it went right into there, and then I saw it went into the switch. My bad, but it appears the owner just either forgot about the switch, or because we had a bad connection here at the negative terminal, that was the whole problem with the winch. I don't know. At least he gets this cleaned out now, whatever that is. Hook this bag up. I'm guessing this works fine now. We'll turn that on. Turn that on. You can hear the solenoid clicking on. Yep. Alright, well, we'll have to remind them of that. So if you do have any kind of accessories, push buttons, switches, stuff like that that are added onto your machine, you may want to mention that to your mechanic. It might save you a little bit of money and labor. But we got that figured out. We get that figured out. Still got possibly the run-in issue. We're going to find out. And then, obviously, we got to figure out what's going on with the starter. I'm just going to pop this panel off. I don't have to pull this panel off, I don't think. It just gives me a little bit more room in here. I do want to check the connection on the starter here. And it's fine. It's nice and tight. We'll pull this off, and we'll pull this plastic cover off the magneto flywheel. We got one screw right here. Pull that out. Then we got these. These have nuts on the bottom, so we'll use our battery ratchet. Hold that. Nice. Let's hope the other three pop out just like that. Nice. And then this one. Beautiful. We have one back here. Now from the outside it looks like we're all done, but we're not, because we have some more in here. This one down here requires a little bit thinner socket. These look rusty, but man, they're coming out nice. We got to remove this one. And that one. Now, it was supposed to have one on the bottom, but it looks like it hasn't had one in there for a while. Now we can just slide this out. And then we can get in here and have plenty of access to our magneto cover here. Quickly pop all those bolts out. On the rusty side. And we can pop that out. Careful with our seal here. When you hit your ignition, it sends 12 volts to that starter, which then in turns, this is a separate gear that the starter turns. Then it shoots this out onto that flywheel, just like so. We do have some wear on this ring gear here, as you can see right there. Now it'd be nice if you could just flip this ring gear over, but you can't do it. It's welded right to the magneto. Now I wonder if somebody replaced this at one time, because it looks like there's less wear on this than there is the ring gear. So that would tell me they probably did. If we look in there, I'm seeing some broken teeth on that bendix towards the starter. I can't tell the starter, but we'll pull this off and see. So we're going to pull the magneto off. Boy, it's coming off mean the whole way. There we go. Oh yeah, looks pretty rough on the end of that. I don't know what's going on with those threads, but use this type of puller again, harmonic balance steering wheel type puller. Get some on there, get some grease on the threads, get the right size bolts. So on a magneto, you want to get these bolts in far enough so they're not going to strip out. However, you don't want to push them in too far because you'll probably end up hitting your stator. Right there should be good. Make sure they're all even. Slide our impact on here. Hopefully it pops off fairly easy. Perfect. I'm guessing that's probably why some of these it looks like it had a brand new stator on it at one time. Could be wrong, but it looks very new. But I'm wondering if when they used this type of puller last time, if they had a really hard time, it actually spread these threads open. I'm not sure. Lost our keyway. Well, you're not going to lose it if it sticks to the magnet, so we'll leave it right in there. But yeah, I don't think he's going to want to buy a new one, but maybe I will mention it to him because these are worn down. But now we can pull this out of here, and you can see we got a broken tooth there and a couple of broken teeth there. We'll have to check that starter out. This was turning over pretty good, I thought. I don't see any bad teeth. If you can see right in the center, you might think that's cracked or something, but it's not. It's actually just greased right there. So the teeth all look good on the starter itself. Let's see, there's some extra steel sticking to this coil here. Oh yeah, right there's part of one of those teeth. I'm going to see if I got another starter bendix in stock. If not, we'll have to order one, but you'll find out shortly. So I did have another one on hand. This one is obviously the one I took off. Broken teeth. This one, we don't have any broken teeth. It's in good shape. If you watch the return, it turns back good. This one, not bad actually. This one seems a little better, but obviously the broken teeth are the big problem. But we are going to open that up. just spray a little white lithium grease in there. And right here. We're just going to work that in and wipe the excess off. Wipe this old grease out of here. A little fresh stuff. And we'll throw that on. Pull that old tooth out of there before I forget. I don't see any more old pieces on there, so hopefully that's good. We're going to take our half moon and install it on the crankshaft, which this is on the bottom side here. Just looking at this magneto, I found the other pieces of the tooth. It's in here in the magnets, so we'll clean this out. Alright, we got all the pieces taken out of there. I always like to take a little grease and then just grease up the inside of that bore. That way, if somebody pulls this back apart, it'll come off easy for them. There we go. Make sure we're locked into place, which we are. The keyway's in place. Washer. Hoping this nut goes on there okay. Torque that down. Take a peek at this case. The rubber seal is well above the lip right here, so we can definitely reuse that. Now, if it would have been flat and smushed in, we'd want a new one, but we can reuse that. Little grease in here as well. You can see there's a washer there. You want to make sure that's there when you reinstall it. Just put some around there. I'm actually going to put this washer on here. That way I know it's on there for sure. It doesn't fall out of the case. Go down in there. Get this lined up. Beautiful. I'm going to go wire brush these because they're very rusty. Go ahead and do that to the rest. I just did them real quick. They don't look new, but we get the big chunks of rust off. Now I'm going to hit them with a little lithium grease. And we can reinstall everything. Make our way around here and tighten it up. Nice. Now we can try to fire it up. Sounded good right there. Shut her down. Sounds good. Got that figured out. I don't know if this has an exhaust leak or what. I do feel a little air coming up in that head pipe. Ah, there it is. We got a cracked Y pipe, very common on these things. I think I got a 600 outside, and I think that's got the same problem as well. So that cracked Y pipe might be contributing to this thing not warming up great. He said a lot of times it takes forever to warm up. You got to choke it. Now, it's not cold today. It's like 50 degrees outside. It's really warm. And I'm not choking this thing at all, and it's firing right up. So probably when it's cold, when he's plowing, is when he's having any issues. I got to ask him about that. We can pull it off, weld it, or we can get a new Y pipe. All right, made it back, talked to the owner. He said, yes, please weld it if it's weldable. He doesn't really want to spend the money to buy a new manifold. We could buy a used one, but as I said, very common on these things, so you're probably better off welding it anyways. This is my 600 out here. See down here, you don't see any cracks because this one's actually already been welded. We'll remove these springs. We have this spring here. Then we come in the back and we have two springs here as well. I don't have to actually pull this exhaust off. I'm just going to move it ahead right here. Now it's not necessary to remove the wheel, but it only takes a second and it's going to give me some more room in there. Now we can come in here with our 6mm. One. And the last one. And there's our head pipe. Definitely cracked up here. Actually cracked on both sides. So we're going to weld it for now. And what we ended up with is that. Not the cleanest job ever, but it works. That side's a little uglier, but hey, there's no cracks anymore. Go ahead and get this back up in here. we'll throw her back together and give her a test run. Give her a whirl. Let's hop on this beast. So, 2003 Polaris Sportsman 600, high range. One thing, yeah, so this is kind of nice, but you need to know it, otherwise you're going to be very frustrated. So, you cannot go to high range or to park without pushing that foot brake. It does say it right here. Press foot brake to shift into higher park. You know, that thing could be worn off. Some people don't know. I've seen people break these shifters trying to get them into high range. And yeah, it's just, you put your foot on the brake. It's kind of nice if you're plowing because you're going back and forth from low range to reverse. So it's just slap it real quick without hitting the shifter. It's just kind of a nice feature. But you want to know it, otherwise it can be frustrating. So we'll take off here. They only made these 2 years, I believe, 2003 and 2004. This is an 03, different style than my 04 I have. Now, I will say one thing about these 600s, they have a super smooth running engine. I mean, it's a very small not V-twin, inline twin, and it's very smooth, idle smooth, and it's a parallel twin, so it doesn't sound like a V-twin at all. Oh, we got some turkeys out in the field. I would say the power is probably on par with a Sportsman 500. It might have a little more top end than a 500, I'm not sure. Definitely doesn't have the low end that the Sportsman has, the 500. But they made so many different size Sportsmans. You got, you know, even in these years, you could get the 500. I think you could get a 400, a 500, a 600, a 700, and then they came out with the 800 later on. I don't even want to say because I'm not sure, but the 800 definitely has more of a punch than any of the other ones, but they all go pretty good. The 600 and 700s were known to have ignition problems, and I don't mean key switch problems, I mean the coil. It's got a it's a coil CDI all-in-one. The Ducati system
and they had problems with them. I think this newer 700s, they switched them out, but these 600s and the earlier 700s had that issue. So this looks like it already had stator replaced, so possibly they did that. I didn't even pay attention to while I was in there, but so yeah, that's full throttle. I'm not going to beat on this too bad because now sometimes the owners will tell me, hey, take this thing for a good joy run, or we got another tree down. Son of a gun. We got trees down everywhere. Every time I come up here, there's a new one down. And I did say I was going to bring a chainsaw with me, but I didn't bring it. So yeah, going back to the style of it, as you can see, we always called it the turtle shell, especially when they were green, but very rounded upper headlight area. And then the front, you got, it's a different style. If you looked at my 04, it's completely different. Not completely different, but definitely different. The front end. Yeah, high range, you know, it's a little sluggish. I bet if you put this in low range, though, oh yeah, you could pull a wheelie if you wanted with this thing. From a dead stop, this thing will throw you back. High range, very smooth shifting machine, actually. Some of the Sportsmen you have, they were not known to shift very easily, but this thing shifts beautiful. Super smooth. What did we do the last time this thing was here? I did a clutch, I did some other stuff. I don't remember. But, yeah. She's a smooth Sportsman 600. Fuel mileage on the 600s was definitely better than a 700, but you don't get the power. If you're looking for reliability, unless you like the twins, you like the smoothness of the twins, then you go with a 600. But as far as power-wise, reliability, and just overall, I don't know, better fuel mileage even, the Sportsman 500, in my book, is superior to this. But I do like the twins. I don't know. I like multi-cylinder machines. These, they sound different for sure. Like, I don't even know what to call it. I don't know. The Sportsman 850s, when they went to the 850, they did an offset in the pistons, and they sound just like a V-twin. They sound great. But the 1000s as well. But all the other twins were just had a weird sound to them. Now that's full throttle right there. It goes pretty good. I mean, it would probably do 60. You get up there eventually, but it's just not a powerhouse. Smooth running engine, yes. But that is what it is. I think we're all set. We'll throw her back in park, shut it off. That electric shift sounds beautiful. No noises in it. That is a good looking machine. I did see that as I was working on it, I think he oiled it up or something because it's collecting a lot of dust. So it probably did shine it up some, but well, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next repair.